We know that stats like batting average on balls in play inform us on the unluckiness of pitchers, and stats like Sierra work to help quantify a pitcher's true value outside of their hard results. But even if these numbers are positive for some players, they might still get left in the dust. Baseball is a business. The stat I want us to focus on today is called expected run value. Some of you are likely familiar with the run value stat, which tells us the run impact of an event based on the runners on base, outs, ball, and strike count. If a run value is positive on a certain pitch, that means hitters are not whiffing and having good offensive numbers against it, and vice versa. For example, a pitch like Kevin Gausman's nasty splitter registered a negative 23 run value in 2021, the second best value of any pitch in all of Major League Baseball. Hitters whiffed nearly half the time against this pitch and batted just 133 when he threw it, so it makes perfect sense why it got such a great total. Like many other baseball statistics, there's also an expected value for run value as well, which brings us back to the topic of our discussion. Expected run value tosses out the hard results we mentioned before and focuses on a certain pitch's velocity, movement, spin, and command. This stat is purely meant for measuring the quality of a pitch, not how it fared against batters. Because no counting stats are involved, sample size doesn't matter for the leaderboards. Keep this in mind. The expected run value stat was created by PhD student Cameron Grove, creator of the Pitching Bot website. He's corralled all sorts of data related to pitchers' arm slots, grading their stuff, and quantifying precise expected values of statistics we know and love, including run value. He knows a lot more than I do, so definitely check out his Twitter page and his website if you want to learn more about the data we're talking about today. He is a much more credible source. I can't stress that enough. And because of his credibility, I'm going to be leaning heavily on his work today. Okay, let's have some fun trivia and try and guess the top pitchers for expected run value in 2021. For this question, there are only 6 pitchers who managed an XRV below negative 1.25, an elite mark by this metric. This includes both starters and relievers since sample size doesn't really matter. And for those who have taken a look at scout pitcher grades before, all 6 of these pitchers scored an 80 on their overall performance grade, which is the highest score possible. To gauge this, I just want to let you know that 30 would be a bad score, 50 is an average score, and 70 or above is an elite score. The best expected run value of 2021 belonged to Emmanuel Clase, and that shouldn't come as a surprise if you're familiar with him. He's dominated the league the last 2 seasons with his Mariano Rivera-esque 100-mile-per-hour cutter. His negative 14 run value on that cutter was second in MLB only to National League Cy Young Award winner Corbin Burns. His stuff grade was a 75 and his command grade was a 65, both extremely elite marks. Of course, also near the top of the list is God himself, Jacob deGrom. His four-seam fastball and slider racked up negative 15 and negative 14 run values respectively, both placing within the top 10 in MLB for those pitch categories. He scored similar grades to Emmanuel Clase, as the two are in a league of their own. There's also Colin McHugh coming in third place, who only tops out at around 91 miles per hour on his fastball, but has a nasty arsenal of breaking pitches that help him rack up whiffs and soft contact. His expected run value translated well to his slider, which registered a negative 13 run value, the 9th best slider in MLB by that metric. He scores highly because of his command grade of 70, which was the best of any of the top 20 pitchers in expected run value for 2021. Paul Sewald and Liam Hendriks round out 5th and 6th place respectively on this list, both sporting elite stuff grades and decent command grades. But another American League reliever managed to outplace these two titans. So who came in 4th, if you had to guess? Regardless of who you decide to guess on, I bet that you're wrong. The 4th best expected run value in baseball last season belonged to a reliever named Ben Rowan. What? How? Who? Before we say anything about why Ben Rowan is among the company of these pitching titans, let's first illustrate just how ludicrous this is. As you might have guessed, Ben Rowan had a quiet career in baseball, being a 22nd round draft pick in 2010 by the Texas Rangers. He was something of a minor league phenom for them with a 1.79 ERA in 281 innings over 5 seasons of work in the Rangers minor league system. Rowan actually got the call in 2014 for Texas and got just 8 2/3 innings of work before being DFA'd and released. Rowan consistently put up decent minor league numbers, but can never make a roster spot stick in his major league tenure. A quick look at his baseball reference page shows 3 seasons, none of them consecutive, with a cumulative total of 23 innings pitched, with a 6.26 ERA and 1.65 WHIP. In just 11 2/3 innings of work with the Angels last season, he lit up 7 earned runs, including 3 homers in that span. You don't have to be a pitching expert to know that these numbers are not good. The craziest part of him being in this elite company, though, is that Rowan actually made the decision to retire following last last season at just 33 years old. He took a hybrid coaching and front office position with the Angels following this decision. So one of the biggest hidden analytical darlings of baseball isn't even playing the sport anymore. Aside from footnotes about his similarity to Chad Bradford or blurbs about him being a former minor league all-star, it was a quiet, unceremonious goodbye for Ben Rowan. So we're still left with the question of how in the world did Ben Rowan find himself in the company of these elite pitchers? After all, he's the only one of the top 6 pitchers in 2021 expected run value to throw less than 1,000 pitches last season, and he only threw 198 total. Why are the results not there for Ben Rowan, and how is he not getting another shot? If a stat is deemed reliable, then how in the world can it rank a pitcher like Ben Rowan so highly? Well, remember, this stat isn't based on counting numbers or hard results, or number of pitches or plate appearances. It's based on the characteristics of a pitcher's pitch: velocity, spin, movement, and command. I really want to hammer that fact home, because this video kind of falls apart if you don't remember it. Let's examine how these numbers correlate with Rowan's performance, and maybe we can grapple why he shot so far up this list. Ben Rowan does not throw hard. In fact, he's something of an anomaly by modern baseball standards. His main 2 pitches that he threw over 93% of the time were his sinker and his slider, both of which average under 80 miles per hour. This likely explains his high home run total and hard hit totals in the short sample size from 2021, and he is a submariner, so it isn't a surprise that he doesn't throw hard. And it's not like his spin totals are that great either. His sinker had an average revolution total of 1892, which was 464th in MLB among pitchers with at least 50 sinkers thrown. One spot ahead of our good friend Patrick Sandoval. Hey, you should go check out that video. His slider is better in this regard, as he places 104th in MLB with the same split at 2,616 RPM. This average total is actually a few spots ahead of sliders from Garrett Cole and Jacob deGrom, just to show that spin isn't everything in terms of creating a successful pitch. Okay, so Rowan's pitches are far slower than league average, and they don't manage to spin enough to cancel out that factor. These are 2 huge key components that are subpar from his output. So why do expected values seem to love him so much? For Ben Rowan, it's all about that movement, baby. His sinker, in this incredibly small sample size of just 11 2/3 innings and 91 sinkers thrown, averaged 53 inches of drop, nearly 8 inches ahead of second place Joe Smith, a veteran reliever of 14 years who's known for his nasty sinker. And his slider isn't too shabby either. With 15.3 inches of horizontal run on average, Ben Rowan landed himself at 20th in MLB for pitchers with a minimum of 100 sliders thrown. In terms of pure movement, Ben Rowan has 2 of the best breaking pitches in baseball. Rowan has always known that this was his true talent. In a Buffalo News article from 2015, Rowan spoke about fulfilling his role as a reliever, saying, "I don't throw hard, I throw slower than anybody else out there, but I go out there and trust myself to get a lot of ground balls with the movement that I create. That's who I am on the baseball field. I love it. Being a unique commodity, I like that. And I like that for Ben Rowan as well." That's great and all. Pitch go wee, zoom, brrr, fine. But why did none of this translate to positive results? Rowan has never had a decent run in MLB in any of these 3 seasons that he's pitched in. Why should we care if his pitches move all over the place? I've caught some slack in past videos for deeming pitchers poised to break out, most notably my Tyler McGill video. I'm not going to pretend that I'm some pitching guru who knows more than coaches who do it at the highest level. I'm just some guy at his computer who likes to make videos that interpret data, and my end goal is to give my viewers a product that makes them think about anomalies like Ben Rowan. I was able to talk with Cameron Grove, who compiled the data and grades I used to make this video. An important thing to note that he mentioned is that the overall stuff and command models are all separate. So calculating expected run value isn't always as simple as an overall grade equaling stuff and command grades, even though in a lot of cases that's a pretty good approximation. The models are all built the same way but use different input variables. So stuff grades are based on the characteristics of a pitch like velocity and spin, but not where it goes. Conversely, command grades are based on where a pitch goes but do not factor in the speed or the movement. This explains why Ben Rowan had a decent stuff grade. The overall model knows everything. For guys with weird arm slots or unusual pitch movement like Ben Rowan, the stuff and command models individually don't get the full picture. And most importantly of all, it's a small sample size, so the overall grades that Rowan received wouldn't remain so good if he pitched a full season. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't have got a shot at a full season's pitching. The answer to his struggles might be that Rowan never threw hard enough for this to matter, but Chad Bradford threw the same way as he did with a similar skill set and had a really nice career in baseball. It could be that his pitching coaches never figured out how to apply Rowan's talents to the best of their ability. It also could be that Rowan simply had a really tough run of luck every time he managed to crack the big leagues. The only thing we know for sure is that Rowan's legacy is shrouded in mystery. Had he been given a full season crack at any point in his career, Ben Rowan might have blossomed. Perhaps your favorite team should give him a call. As we mentioned before, based on pure movement, Ben Rowan has two of the best pitches in baseball. There's something there. But regardless of what the future holds, I'm glad that Ben Rowan landed with the Angels. He seems like a terrific guy who gave baseball everything he had, and I hope it left him feeling fulfilled by the end. But still, if you watch my channel and you know the videos that I make, you know that I love anomalies like this. Data that explains things that would seem otherwise unexplainable. Ben Rowan being classified with the best starting pitcher of our generation and some of the best closers baseball has to offer is just an awesome thing that I knew I wanted to make a video about, even if it still makes no sense with all this data. There are a ton of guys like Ben Rowan that never got their full shot in the big leagues that they deserved, but if anything, I'm glad Ben Rowan can take this at the end of his career knowing that, hey, the expected values of my pitches were just as good as some of the best in the game. It's not a large contract, it's not an all-star game, it's not a World Series, but it's a fun footnote in Major League Baseball history. And I think that's worth something in of itself. But that'll do it for this video. I'm the Jolly Olive, and I'll see you guys next time.